cameras in the school zones. We have 3 new positions: customer service rep, a planner, 2, and recreation superintendent. In the sanitation fund, we have 1 new full-time position for assistant sanitation superintendent. In Beach and Park District, we have 1 new program, a community accessibility program. In water and sewer, we have 5 new positions. In information technology, we have 1 new position. In workers' comp fund, we have 1 new full-time position, which is a conversion of a part-time person to a full-time. And in the CRA, we have 2 new full-time positions, a police officer and a cultural arts administrator. In the building permit fund, we have 1 new full-time position, which is converting some part-time to full-time. Here's where we show the strategic focus area of community safety and what is in the budget for next year. Police officer, and the police department headquarters, fire rescue upgrades, police upgrades, innovative technology, which also is in world-class services, and security enhancements, which is also in world-class services, and air compressor for SCBA. Under financially sound, we have a customer service rep, an administrative assistant, and the critical infrastructure improvement, raw water, meter reading, water network, and transit-oriented, which all of those also are in world-class and growth, some in growth management and transportation. Strategic focus of quality of life, we have the aquatics maintenance technician, assistant sanitation supervisor, Meisner Park improvements, boardwalk renovations, Gumbo Limbo Nature Center, and the transit-oriented redevelopment. And under world-class services, many that I already mentioned. And then we have the planner, the permit and licensing tech, plant mechanic, network chief crew, well field supervisor, plant electrician, utility SCADA technician, IT development manager, aquatics maintenance supervisor, and the transit-oriented community redevelopment. And then under world-class services, we have a list that also includes mostly things that were under other stuff, like community safety. For the more world-class services, all the projects that were under other financially sound and growth management. For transportation and mobility, we have the traffic infraction enforcement program and the transit-oriented community redevelopment downtown, Vision Zero demonstration, El Rio trail enhancements, downtown Palmetto Park Road connectivity and mobility, CRA east and west pedestrian connectivity, CRA parking analysis and planning, and mobility and connectivity improvements. And under growth management, we have the planner and the permit licensing and some wastewater and other water expansion, and the transit-oriented community redevelopment downtown. That falls under a lot of the strategic. This just shows the citywide revenues as the total from the actual of 24, 25, and proposed. And you see that we have a decrease in the proposed next year of $334,200. And this is the citywide operating costs showing the $2 million in decrease in operating and the breakdown of personnel, operating supplies, and capital outlay. And this is the costs by department.
Ms. McGuire? Oh,
yes.
I didn't realize you were on your last slide, so let me
That
go
was my last slide, so I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Perfect, thank you. Could you go back to this slide and the one before? Could you just explain for the public what there was a change that the change between fiscal year 2024 and 2025 in law and/or accounting guidelines that accounts for why there was a big jump?
So this has to do with how we account for some of the funds that are, we budget for cash, and then we, our actuals show up as where we have accruals. Do you want to answer?
Yeah, Mayor, if I may. So the most notable difference between full accrual accounting and budgeting cash-based accounting is when we deal with capital assets and capital projects. So it's not that we didn't do those large-scale capital projects in '24. It's that once they get capitalized for accounting purposes at the end of the year, they reduce expenditures because they go on as a long-term asset for the government. So there's a little bit of an adjustment that you have to consider between an actual audited number and the budgeted number, which are really more on a cash-based accounting cycle.
Right, so just to summarize for the public, the budget did not jump up 75% in 1 year. It's been steady. It's just about the timing of capital improvements and how it's accounted for under the controlling law.
That's correct. It's a function of governmental accounting principles and following GAAP for the year-end audit and closing of the books. That's
Right, thank
correct.
Right.
Mayor, if I may, I'd like to also point out on this slide that the proposed, if you look at the operating total line and the $2,045,000 reduction from 24-25 to 25-26. That is a real reduction in operational costs that citywide. So if you were looking at operationally, what's the difference between last year's and this year's budget? There's been about a net $2 million total reduction in operational costs citywide.
Thank you. Council members, any other questions? Mr. Reader.
Yes, thank you. Also, in addition to the reductions, in an earlier slide, I forget which one, you talk about a reduction, I guess, is it in about $9 million of, is it positions or something like that? Could you just go a little into that a little more?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So there's a number of areas that we have cost increases, right? So the power bill is going to continue to go up. We have contractual labor obligations that have contractual increases to them. We have pension formulas that actuaries tell us the contributions that we have to make, and those have been increasing. So you see a number of cost increases there. I also want to point out the CIP shift item, which is a positive $8.3 million. That is not net new spending. That is us identifying items that historically have been in our capital improvement budget, but we're really more operational in nature. So from just an accounting and budgeting standpoint going forward, we took the opportunity to move those into our operational budget. So we have this kind of one-time conversion where it looks like there's an increase of $8.2 million. But it's really not net new spending. It's just moving from one fund to a different fund. Now, Councilmember Wigder, to answer your question, the $9.5 million reduction. So we had all these cost increases from the last year's budget. And we had a budgeted drawdown last year of about $14 million in order to balance the budget. This year, we were focused on delivering to your council a balanced budget solution where we didn't draw down reserves and we didn't increase the millage rate. And in order to do that, we had to cut about $9.5 million from the budget. We did that by looking at actual line item spending within the budget over the last 5 years across the entire city. And anywhere where we identified that there is a trend of budgeting more than what we're actually spending, we made a list of potential cuts, and then we met with department heads to review those cuts, and we did a little bit of negotiating with the departments. If there were things that they were planning on doing that weren't reflected in the historical 5 years, for example, we were able to work with them to make sure that they had the resources to do the work that you all asked them to do, that we weren't cutting their operational budget where it had an operational impact. But we did trim across the entire organization at the line item level. We trimmed the budget that way, and that totaled to about $9.5 million. And that's how we were able to balance the budget this year.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And just to reiterate something, I guess you kind of already said it. In that reduction, do you feel that we sacrificed at all the services or services to the citizens in any of those reductions?
I do not, and I had personal conversations with all the department heads to that effect.
Thank you so much for reiterating that. Will we also be talking about the capital improvements budget, or are we talking about that now?
I have a quick presentation on the capital improvement budget also.
Okay, I'll reserve my questions for later. Thank you so much.
Before we get to CIP, any questions further on this? All right, thank you. Then Ms. McGuire, please take it away.
Yeah, can you put up the? Okay, yeah, we're going to do a quick presentation on the proposed capital improvement budget for next year. And just as a reminder, the capital improvement program represents the city's plan for infrastructure improvements and major equipment acquisitions for the next 6 years. It's a planning document for the out years, and for next year, we will include that in the budget. And this CIP is funded by a variety of ways. This year, we are allocating 3% of ad valorem taxes, and that represents, in the past, we'd been allocating about 8%. And as we just discussed, we moved some of the items that were much more operational in nature into the operating budget and took that out of the capital improvement budget and equally reduced the allocation. It's also, there's infrastructure surtax in here. There's some utility taxes funded by transportation and fuel taxes, county and state, federal, special assessments, bond proceeds, grants, beach and park district, donations, water and sewer revenues. And again, these things, all of the CIP projects are directly related to one of the strategic focuses. And we have that shown in the budget. So the same strategic. The total cost for the whole plan is $1.2 billion of projects, and the vehicles and equipments is $52.5 million. And this shows the allocation on where to the various departments at that $1.2 billion. And for next year, we have $272 million in the proposed CIP. And this shows how the breakdown is between those various funding and funds. This is just a continuation of that. Then the projects are $261.7 million, and vehicles and equipment are $10.6. And again, broken down, IT is $5.2 million, fire rescue is $4.2, police is $947 million, public works is $144.2 million, and $2.5 million in rec, and utility services is $114.8. As you know, when most all of the projects are in public works and engineering. So even though we might have a police station in there, it takes engineering and building, and those projects will sit in the public works and engineering buckets. Here's some of the major projects that we have allocated. The city services building, the transit-oriented redevelopment, railroad crossing at Jeffrey Street project, municipal fleet garage, the police department headquarters, the CRA roadway, CRA east and west pedestrian, and some water and sewer projects. So those are the main ones, and those are the costs in the budget for next year. Like, for example, you see the police department headquarters at $10 million, although that project is a lot larger over the life of the project, but we are just budgeting $10 million next year based on the what the architectural costs and things like that. So for police services, 947,100, and that's really just to replace some equipment. And fire rescue, 135,000 in projects and 4.1 million in the vehicles, because those are all replacements of the fire and rescue units and fire truck. And public works and engineering, it's the city services building, the transit-oriented community. There's a lot of projects in the 141.1 million. And utility services has 114.1 in projects, and vehicles and equipment in 708. And again, these are ongoing water and sewer upgrades that are planned and water treatment facility improvements. Rec services has 1 million in projects and 1.3 million in vehicle replacements. And that's for playground renovations and Meadows Park pool improvements. IT has 5.2 million in network infrastructure upgrades and the financial system enhancements. This chart kind of shows we're working towards showing the cost by the strategic priorities. So it's a little funny looking, but we'll have some better information. But at least, you can see where we're spending money by those, or we're planning to spend money by the strategic priorities. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Council members' questions? I know, Mr. Richter, you had some on the CIP?
Can you go back to slide 9, please? Thank you. My understanding from the budget items, the TOC redevelopment downtown, although we've budgeted, since the project is in flux, it is possible, given what happens with the project, that we might not spend this entire amount. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So we put a placeholder in there basically to just identify the possibility that it could occur, and if it could occur, we want to make sure that we would properly fund it.
That's correct, and it really could be used to support any infrastructure upgrades within that sub-area of the redevelopment agency. So regardless of whether or not there's a private developer, even if we were looking to make improvements in that area to facilitate public infrastructure, public improvements, that would also fall within that same definition. So, but if none of that's moving forward, the CRA board can always redeploy that money with a budget amendment and a plan amendment.
Thank you. Likewise, the TOC redevelopment downtown, in terms of the actual number, in terms of the amount, it could be broken up. There's other slides where you show that it's broken up in between multiple funds. There could be some CRA, some general funds, some specific, some water sewer. Again, I'm not asking you to have it here, but the fact is that this is just a summary of the conglomerate of all the different funds that go into this number.
That money is coming from the redevelopment agency.
Yeah.
So in this case, well, that's true. In this case, that item is coming just from the CRA.
Thank you. And likewise, when we go into the future, we're really putting those operational things in the CIP that are in fiscal year 26. But looking onward in this 5 and 6 year plan, for those proposed fiscal year 27, those are, again, those could, once they go into the operational year, you'll be then bringing those in the budget and then altering it, right? So every year, right, we add another year to the 6th year, and we're shifting those into operations. Is that right?
That's correct. We've spent a lot of time this year really going through all of the projects in the CIP to make sure that what we put in this year's CIP are things that we can achieve both from a fiscal standpoint and from an operational capacity standpoint. So it doesn't mean that things aren't going to shift. That happens, but we really did try to take a realistic look so that we were aligning expectations with the council and the community on what was going to be done this next year. Many of these projects span multiple years, so it's not unusual, like the police headquarters project, where 1 year is going to be entirely design and engineering. And then the following year is going to be the beginning of construction. And then the third year, you're still going to have some construction and closeout. So depending on the complexity of the project, they could span multiple fiscal years. And every year, we go through this exercise to reevaluate every project to see where they're at, if they continue to be a viable project, where they are in the process, and update all of the numbers throughout the entire 5 or 6 year CIP.
Thank you. And likewise, in fiscal year '27, I noticed that there's a line item of $150 million of bond proceeds. Is that an anticipated bond proceeds for the proposed police station or for something other than that?
Police station.
Right, and so obviously, now we're in the design phase, that number obviously will be subject to the people and obviously subject to how much money we need and all those things. This is just a placeholder at this time.
That's correct.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Other than that, my understanding is of the $1.2 billion in projects, that spans about, is it 400 projects? Is something like 400, the actual number is something like 400 capital improvement projects? Is that your understanding?
It's a few hundred.
It's
152 projects. But there could be, multiple lines of that. And even when you see an IT project, many of those are funded by, a variety of sources. So, we have a lot of projects. So.
Thank you. And like we talked about in previous meetings, Mr. Zervis, in terms of unrestricted fund balance, most of these projects are coming from dedicated funds, whether it's water, sewer, infrastructure, CRA, other things like that. In terms of unrestricted fund balance, that there's not just a large pot of money that's waiting to do all these projects, is there?
No, that's correct. As pointed out earlier, we maintain a capital improvement fund that has funding coming into it from a few different revenue sources, but that really is not, that's not enough to cover everything in this budget. So the CIP is funded through a conglomerate of different funding sources. Part of it is that CIP funding, but large part of it is from water and sewer funds. It's from tax increment from the redevelopment agency. It's from building permit money through the building permit fund. It's from grants, federal and state grants, so and potentially borrowing or bonding. So it's kind of a complex matrix, and every project has to have an identified funding source in order to make it into this program. So we don't put things on here where we at least don't have a strategy behind how it's going to be funded and delivered.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Further questions? All right. Mr. Brown, I believe that concludes. Oh, no, we still have fire assessment and user fees. So
we have to proceed with the agenda, read the resolutions, et cetera. Is that not on your?
it is. No, I just didn't know if we had any further comments about user fees.
The
we've
user
exhausted that
fee
conversation.
follows the budget hearing.
That's fine. Okay.
I did want to make one comment, though.
Please.
To commend to you all, Mayor and Council, the work that the OMB office and the departments did this year in really scouring through the budget to find line items that had not been used, for example, as Jim had said, et cetera, and delivering a balanced budget with a reduction in millage and a reduction in expenses. It's very important that we were able to do that, and I commend the work of the staff.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah, and I want to acknowledge, although they're not here tonight, but definitely want to acknowledge my team. They work super hard. Tammy Blake is here, and Ryan Alt and Michael Middleman. Thanks.
All right, very well. Well, so we'll now proceed with the public hearing on the tentative budget and proposed millage rates. And Ms. Siddons, I will ask you to read in full Resolution 130, 2025, and then the title of Resolution 131, 2025.
Resolution 130, 2025, a resolution of the City of Boca Raton adopting proposed millage rates necessary to fund a tentative budget for the 2025 through 2026 fiscal year, providing for severability, providing for repealer, providing an effective date. Whereas Section 200.065 Florida statutes requires, among other things, that the City Council of the City of Boca Raton adopt a proposed budget after notice and public hearing prior to adopting a final budget or final millage rates. And whereas the City Council has conducted a public hearing on a tentative budget and proposed millage rates as required by law. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Boca Raton Section 1, the City Council of the City of Boca Raton hereby adopts the following proposed ad valorem tax millage rates as being necessary to fund a budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025, and ending September 30th, 2026. 1, the percentage by which the proposed millage rate to be levied exceeds the rolled back rate of 3.4931 mils computed pursuant to Florida law is 4.42%, which represents the percentage increase in property taxes according to the characterization ascribed to said percentage by the Florida legislature in section 200.0652C Florida statutes. 2, the proposed millage rate for non-exempt taxable property within the City of Boca Raton shall be 3.6476 mils for operational purposes. 3, the proposed millage rate for non-exempt taxable property within the City of Boca Raton shall be 0.0173 mils for debt service. 4, the total proposed millage rate shall be 3.6649 mils. Section 2, the proposed millage rates adopted herein shall be subject to review and recomputation by the City Council of the City of Boca Raton prior to or at the time of adoption of the final budget for the city, provided that the final millage rate shall not exceed the proposed millage rates adopted herein. Section 3, if any section, subsection, clause, or provision of this resolution is held invalid, the remainder shall not be affected by such invalidity. Section 4, all resolutions or parts of resolutions in conflict herewith shall be and hereby are repealed. Section 5, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon adoption. And Resolution 131, 2025, a resolution of the City of Boca Raton adopting a tentative budget for the 2025 through 2026 fiscal year, providing for severability, providing for appealer, providing an effective date.
Thank you. At this point, now having read that, we can have a discussion and public comments and any further explanation on this. Council members, do you have any questions concerning what was discussed just now? I mean, it was just the title. Any further questions? I think we covered it. Then we'll open up the public hearing on the tentative budget and proposed millage rates. Seeing no one come forward, we will not have any more public comment right now. I will announce that in the past, we used to have nonprofit organizations come and present in person. I think it was a very good practice that we established several years ago to have them make their submittals in writing and not have to sit here and plead their case each year. Now we turn to item E, which is an opportunity for the City Council to amend the tentative budget as it sees fit. Traditionally, we have held amendments, if any, until the second meeting. But council members, would anyone like to make any amendments right now? Seeing no one come forward, then we don't need to compute or recompute millage rates because they remain the same. And then we don't need to have a public announcement of any changes to the millage rate. Therefore, there aren't, because there are none. So then we can proceed immediately to adopting Resolution 130, 2025, which incorporates the proposed millage rates. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Then Ms. Siddons, please.
Drucker,
Yes.
Naklis.
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Wigder,
Yes.
Singer.
Yes.
Motion passes 5 votes to 0.
And we can now take up Resolution 131, 2025, which incorporates a tentative budget. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
And that was the second?
Second.
Thank you very good much.
Third.
Any further discussion? No, yours was the second, so you can't third yourself. Any further discussion? Then Ms. Siddons, please call the roll.
Wigder,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Singer,
Yes.
Naklis.
Yes.
Drucker.
Yes.
Motion passes 5 votes to 0.
Thank you. That concludes the public hearing for tonight on Resolution 130, 2025 and Resolution 131, 2025. We'll now turn to resolutions and other business, and we have Resolution 132, 2025, which I'll ask Ms. Siddons to read its title.
Resolution number 132, 2025, a resolution of the City of Boca Raton imposing fire services assessments against assessed property, residential, commercial, and industrial, located within the city for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025, approving the fiscal year 2025 through 2026 rate of assessment, approving the fiscal year 2025 through 2026 assessment roll based on the rate of assessment, providing for severability, providing for appealer, providing an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. McGuire will give a brief presentation recapping what was discussed before, I believe.
Again, good evening, Mayor, Council, Sharon McGuire. We are not recommending any changes to the fire assessment fees. So we are just going forward with the same same fees as $155 for a residential rate. And I'll be happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you. And as you stated just moments ago, there's also no increases to the commercial rate.
Correct. All the commercial and industrial rates will stay the same.
All right, very good. Thank you. Council members, any questions? All right, seeing none, we'll open up the public hearing. Seeing no one wishing to come forward, we will close the public hearing and we'll entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 132-2025.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Then Ms. Siddons, please.
Nachlis.
Yes.
Wigder.
Yes.
Drucker.
Yes.
Singer.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5 votes to 0.
Thank you. And we'll now take up Resolution 133-2025. Would you please read the title?
Resolution number 133, 2025, a resolution of the City of Boca Raton adopting an amended and restated Boca Raton Municipal Facilities and Services User Fee Schedule, providing for severability, providing for appealer, providing an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Jean-Michel Note, our Internal Audit and Compliance Supervisor, will make the presentation on Resolution 133, 2025, the user fee schedule.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Jean-Michel Nope, Internal Audit and Compliance Supervisor. Tonight I'm presenting the proposed changes to the municipal facilities and services user fee schedule. Those changes will become effective October 1st, 2025 for the new fiscal year. The user fee schedule presents the fees charged by the departments to support some of the facilities and services that they offer. Departments review those fees as an integral part of their budgeting process. There are many benefits to charging user fees. One of them is that only the users will pay for the fee for service and facilities, which means that if you don't use, you don't pay that fee. All users must pay those fees as well. So that includes those who are exempt from property taxes and then the non-residents. And so everybody who uses a facility or a service has to pay to support it. Charging user fees allows the city to provide a wide range of services and facilities, and it also allows to a better management of the provision of limited valuable resources and gauging demand and service level increases necessary. And that allows us to continue to provide world-class services. The user fees provide an extra additional source of revenue in direct support for those services and facilities, which in turn will help mitigate the need for general fund subsidies. And that aligns with our strategic priority of remaining a financially sound city. Some of the fees presented in the user fee schedule are increased annually by the Consumer Price Index pursuant to the Code of Ordinances. That's the case for the cemetery, mausoleum fees, water, sewer, stormwater rates, and charges. To determine this rate of CPI, we use the Bureau of Labor Statistics CPI for all urban consumers for the region of Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm Beach. In June 2025, which is the CPI that we use, this index was 3.1%. Accordingly, we've increased the cemetery, mausoleum fees, water, sewer, stormwater rates, and charges by this percentage in the upcoming year. As I mentioned earlier, departments review the user fees, and once they have identified any needs for changes, they include those in the proposed user fees that you have in front of you tonight for approval. I'm going to go over some of these department-specific proposed changes, starting with the Development Services Department, who's proposing to add fees for annual report review and compliance monitoring of affordable and workforce housing. Development Services is also proposing to increase certain fees to better reflect the cost of delivering those services. The Planning and Zoning Division is proposing to increase the public notice administrative processing fees. Court Enforcement is proposing to increase a special master case prosecution fee and the fee charged for compliance letters and reports. The department is also proposing to integrate the right-of-way use fees, which are currently presented in Code Section 25-116 into the user fee schedule. So they're not creating a new fee. This is an existing one, but they're incorporating it as a best practice. The Public Works and Engineering Department is proposing to increase the residential and commercial collection services fees by the CPI of 3.1% to help cover the operating and capital costs of providing the in-house sanitation services. This increase will translate into an increase to the monthly residential solid waste curbside collection fee from $27.06 to $27.90, and an increase to the monthly residential container collection fee per multifamily unit from $16.38 to $16.89. And the Fire Rescue Services Department is making a few updates to its training and education offering. An example is that it is revising the CPR and AED training to better align with the American Heart Association's offering. They're also proposing to add a bundled option for discounted rate when multiple trainings are taken. The Fire Rescue Department is also removing certain fire practical training fees that relate to trainings that are no longer provided. The Recreation Services Department is proposing changes to help offset the cost of providing some of those services and facilities, while always maintaining competitive pricing in the local market. Proposed increases include increases to the ball field rental fees, Explorium Science Camp fees, and Ocean Rescue Summer Lifeguard Program fees. Recreation Services is also proposing to adjust its permit application fees for athletic tournaments, camps, clinics, as well as special events. And this is to align with the special event charges that are charged by the Development Services Code Enforcement Department for more consistency across the departments. Finally, they're proposing to modify the library fees to remove the video game rental fees, updating the fees for overdue books and materials, and increasing certain room rental deposit fees due to frequent cancellation on some of those rooms. And the Financial Services Parking Division is proposing to include a flat rate fee of $75 for life safety parking violations. So as you can see on the images, examples of such violations would include vehicles parked on the sidewalk and the bike lane. So the Parking Division believes that it will improve the safety in the city, but also help them enforce against those violations. Finally, the Utility Services Department is proposing, as I mentioned earlier, to increase their water, sewer, and stormwater rates by the 3.1% CPI pursuant to the Code of Ordinances. They're also proposing some increases to the water and reclaimed water installation fees and certain customer service fees and sewer televising fees. And those increases are there because of increase in the labor, vehicle, and fuel costs that they have experienced. So they're there to correct and offset those increases. So that will complete my presentation on the proposed user fee schedule. Once the fees become effective on October 1st, this schedule will be posted to the website, to the city's website. Thank you very much for your time. If you have any question, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you. Mr. Brown and I I had not noticed something earlier about the Library Services Division, which is page 56. And while Mr. Brown reviews it, I had more a question about implementation that I might leave to him first.
I'm just reviewing this actually for the first time. I didn't go into this level of detail in reviewing the Library Services Division's proposed changes. With the proposed changes that instead of there being an per daily charge for an overdue book, the book will assume to be lost or damaged, and they will be billed for the list price of the item to get it back. In other words, for the city to reclaim the item by repurchasing it. But if they are returned in proper condition within 5 months of the original checkout date, the billed amount is removed or refunded. So it's basically an upfront charge to promote people bringing the thing back, and they do have a 5-month grace period.
Right. What I would suggest is someone who checks out items from the library and sometimes returns them a few days late and always pays the fine, of course. I read a lot, that we not implement that immediately, that there be some grace period, because I think you'll have billing going back and forth. So I wanted to see what we could do in terms of its implementation, or that, or table the idea, or learn more about if we should, the extent of the problem. And
Perhaps, Mayor, based upon your suggestion, we could leave item A in here and say, for the first 30 days, there should be a fine at 40 cents a day, and after 30 days, B kicks in. And if the council's agreeable to that, we'll make that change as part of the adoption.
I think that's sensible, Ms. Rucker.
Because, yeah, thank you, Mayor Singh. Because the other thing I was going to say is, if you take out the books, and usually like the 14-day ones, or even the 30-day ones, if that book is on hold, so if it's not a popular book, they'll renew you automatically. So it should also coincide with that. Because if you have a 14-day book, those are usually, if nobody's had them on hold, they'll renew it to you. So usually, or a 30-day book, they'll renew it and give you that grace period. So that should also kind of, with the timing.
Ms. Rucker, yes, I think so. It provides for the renewal period to kick in automatically. I'm still saying sometimes, I know it renews, and I've been a day or two late, and so I thought, let's not have it kick in immediately, because it'll just bill back. I always return. Mr. Thompson?
I would second that, and not simply because I read, though I do occasionally, but my kids read a lot, and they are not always able to find the books right away when they become due. So we are racking up fines heavily. Not that that's a problem, we should get them back. But the idea of having this sitting on at some point as a replacement cost seems, how about this, very different than we've historically done it. And so rather than just implementing that change now, it might probably make sense to maybe just give it a little bit more thought. And at the very least, like Mr. Brown suggested, at least for 30 days or so, do the fines, hurtful though those are, and as quickly as those may accrue. I think that's still the better policy.
All right, further comments on this? Mr. Wigder?
Yeah, certainly can agree with Mr. Thompson. We don't want his family single-handedly balancing the budget with fines. But, yeah, that would be a shock to the system. But, no, there might be snowbirds as well. To your point, there might be snow people that are away, traveling, whatnot, where they simply cannot get it in time. Yeah, I like reading physical books. My wife, she reads the Kindle, and so I guess she doesn't have that problem with returning the books because, but she loves the Boca Raton Library because you could pull the ebook onto her Kindle. She just then has to kind of renew it if she wants to continue reading it. So everyone get a Kindle. It's very helpful.
Okay, further questions? Mr. Nutt, I-1, just on this 83-page document, can you confirm that the vast majority of line items have had no changes?
Yes.
All right, thank you. I wanted to point that out. All right, we'll open up the public hearing on this resolution. Anyone wishing to come forward, please do so. All right, seeing no one come forward, we will entertain a motion, and I would suggest that the movant move with the changes to page 56, as mentioned by Mr. Brown, that there will be no billing for lost materials until a 30-day grace period elapses after the end of the applicable renewal period.
That's correct.
All right.
So moved, with the recommendation of Mr. Brown on the library schedule.
Thank you.
fee.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Then I think we can call the roll, please.
Thompson,
Yes.
Singer,
Yes.
Wigter,
Yes.
Drucker,
Yes.
Naklis.
Yes.
Motion passes 5 votes to 0.
Thank you. That concludes our items. If there are no further comments from the dais, then we will, without objection, adjourn at 6:51. Thank you and good evening. Oh, I will mention before we do, we will have our final budget hearing on Thursday, September 25th, 2025, at 6 p.m. in this room. So with no further business, we are now adjourned. Thank you.